Hi everyone, today I want to show you how to work this super cute and super easy peephole border. You can work it on any blanket that you like, but today I'm going to show you how to work it onto a corner to corner moss stitch blanket. And if you haven't already seen the tutorial for that, you can find it linked in the description or up here now. So without further ado, grab your project, grab some yarn and let's get going. When I work any border, I normally go down one hook size from the hook that the yarn ball recommends. And even though for this corner to corner moss stitch, I actually went up a hook size and used a 4.5mm hook, because it produces quite small stitches, you can still get away with sizing down one hook size from what you would normally use. So I used a 3.5mm hook for the edging on my blanket. Please feel free to tinker. Not everyone's tension is the same, so what works for me may not necessarily work for you. I used cream yarn for the blanket in the intro, but just so you can see my stitches better, I'm going to use a different colour yarn when I show you how to work this border. So you want to get the short edge of your rectangle at the top where you ended your project if you are working on corner to corner moss stitch like me, and you want to get your new yarn, pop your hook into any of the chain spaces and pull up a loop, work a chain and then work a single crochet back into that same space that you've just pulled the loop up from, and you can tug your tail tight just to tighten that stitch. And then along this edge you want to work a single crochet underneath the single crochets in the rectangle and a single crochet into the chain space after it. So these are our chain turns, this is our single crochet. And if you are working this onto another type of crochet, you just want to make sure that for this round you're working a nice even number of stitches so that your work doesn't pull tight or it's not too saggy, because if you have too many stitches you'll end up with a ruffled border, and if you don't have enough stitches your border will pull in tight. So this first round's quite important to get right. When you get to your corners you want to work 3 single crochet all into the same stitch. And then carry on working your single crochets into the side of the single crochets from your main body of your work and into the chain gaps. And then just remembering to work 3 single crochets into every corner. So if you go all the way around and do that, and I'll meet you back at the beginning of the round. By the end of round 1 you should have a nice even amount of stitches all the way around, and your project should still lay completely flat. If it is tugging in or looks ruffled, then you've probably got too many stitches, so I would genuinely advise you to make sure it lays flat before you carry on, because the first round dictates how good your border is going to look. At the end of round 1 you want to secure your final stitch to your first stitch with a slip stitch. And make sure it's nice and snug. Then you want to chain 1, and into that same stitch you want to pop a half double crochet. Then you want to half double crochet all the way around, and into the middle stitch of your corner 3 stitch group you want to also work 3 half double crochet. So here we have our corner group. We work our first stitch as normal, and then into the second stitch of the corner group you work 3 half double crochet. And you want to repeat that all the way around your work. For the 3 remaining corners, work your 3 half double crochet into that middle stitch and work all the way around until you get back here. Round 2 is finished in the same way as round 1 with a slip stitch to join the first stitch to the last stitch. So you want to work into the top of the first half double crochet that you worked and just join it to the last half double crochet that you worked with a slip stitch. Round 3 is virtually the same as round 2, but instead of half double crochets we're going to work single crochets. So you want to work a single crochet into every stitch around, remembering to work 3 single crochet into the middle stitch of your corner group. So to start your round, you chain 1, work a single crochet back into the same stitch that you've just chained 1 from, and then work a single crochet in every stitch around, working 3 single crochet into the middle stitch of your corner group. After working your final stitch of the round, you want to again join your last stitch to your first stitch by placing a slip stitch through the first stitch and pulling it nice and tight. Now round 4 is the row that creates your little peekaboo holes for your edging, and this is worked with half double crochets and chain 1s. So to start with, you want to chain 1 and pop a half double crochet back into the stitch you've just come from. Then you want to chain 1, skip the next single crochet and work a half double crochet into the next one along. Chain 1 again, skip the next single crochet and work a half double crochet into the next stitch along, and you want to repeat that until you get to your corners. So I've now worked along to my corner, and my middle stitch of my corner is the next stitch along, and I've just worked my half double crochet. If your work falls like this, then what you want to do is you want to chain 1, half double crochet in the next stitch, chain 1 and half double crochet in the next stitch, and that creates your corner, because what you have in that middle stitch is you have a chain 1, half double crochet, chain 1, 1, 2, 3 stitches. If you find that before your middle stitch of your corner cluster you have ended here with a chain 1 instead of a half double crochet, into this gap here you would work half double crochet, chain 1, half double crochet. So don't panic if you end here and your last half double crochet is here and your next natural place before the middle stitch is to put a chain, because all you do is reverse the corner group that I've worked. So I've worked chain 1, half double crochet, chain 1. You would work half double crochet, chain 1, half double crochet, and then this next stitch where I've worked a half double crochet would be a chain. And then you want to carry along the long edges working this same pattern until you hit the middle stitch of the next edge, and you want to do the same thing. You want to work the corner group that corresponds to where you have hit your repeating pattern on that particular corner. So it may be a chain 1, half double crochet, chain 1, it may be a half double crochet, chain 1, half double crochet. Just keep following that rhythm, but you're working those extra stitches in that corner group, and you want to work that all the way around until you get back to here. I've worked all the way around with that pattern, and I have finished with the chain 1 and then the slip stitch to the first stitch from my round. What you want to do for the 5th round is to chain 1, and we are going to work single crochets all around. So you want to work a single crochet back into the stitch that you worked, 1 single crochet into the chain 1 gap, and then a single crochet into the top of your half double crochet from the row below. it can feel a bit stretched out because of how the stitches work when you pop a chain 1 gap in between. So if you feel more comfortable, pop 2 single crochets just straight into that gap and work around like that. But if you feel a little bit more confident, you can pop your hook into the loop just before the post. That is actually the top of the stitch, even though it's slightly to the right of the stitch, and work a single crochet into that gap. And you want to do that all the way around, but I will show you what we do first when we get to our corners. So work until you get to your corner point. When you hit the corner point of your work, if you have a chain 1 half double crochet chain 1 corner, you want to work a single crochet into that chain 1 gap, and then you want to work 3 single crochets into the top of that half double crochet from the row below. Again, like the others, the top of it can be slightly difficult to find because it sits slightly further right than a half double crochet top would normally sit. So you want to find that space and work 3 single crochet into that half double crochet. If you have had the opposite, so if you have a half double crochet chain 1 half double crochet, then the corner stitch would be worked into the chain 1 gap between the 2 half double crochets, and you would work 3 single crochets into that chain 1 gap. Once you've worked the corner, you want to carry on working your single crochet into the chain 1 gap and a single crochet into the top of the half double crochet from the row below, all the way around, and then working your corner clusters as I've just explained. Just like with every other round, once you have worked your way all the way around, you want to join your last stitch to your first stitch with a slip stitch. And then we're going to work our final round of this border, which is my all-time favorite stitch, crab stitch. You might also know it as reverse single crochet. It's single crochet worked in a clockwise direction as opposed to working in an anti-clockwise direction like we normally do. You really need to not overthink it. Just carry on working single crochets in the wrong way and it will work. Chain 1 at the beginning of the round to give you a little bit more space. Then find the next single crochet to the right and work a single crochet into it. So you're popping your hook in, pulling up a loop and pulling your yarn through. And you want to work 1 single crochet into every stitch all the way around. We're not working multiple stitches into our corner stitches, we are just working 1 stitch into each stitch all the way around. So that is 1 reverse single crochet into every stitch from the round below all the way around, and I will meet you back here to show you how we finish off so that we have a completely seamless join. I've worked all the way around, working my crab stitch all the way back until the final stitch, and you can see this is the first stitch we worked, this is the last stitch we worked. This stitch here is the bump that was created by the chain 1 that we made when we started our round, and you want to finish off your round by putting 1 final reverse single crochet into that bump as if it was a stitch. Then you can break your yarn. Make sure you leave a tail long enough to sew in your ends. And then the best way to sew in reverse single crochet so that it has a virtually invisible join is to find the first stitch and pop your needle from the front through to the back diagonally. So from 8 o'clock to 2 o'clock if it was a clock, you want to feed your yarn through diagonally and just gently give it a tug and pull it tight, and you will see that you can barely see where the round starts and where the round ends, and then you would just sew your tail in as normal at the back, and that's your work finished. And that's how you crochet this super cute modern peephole crochet border. You can change it however you like. Instead of crab stitch, work some picot stitch around it. You could end it with just slip stitches around that final round. You could add more rows of peepholes if you wanted to, just sandwich them in between a round of single crochet. That works really well too. You could even add shells on. Let your imagination go wild. Use this as a base to let your own creativity go a bit bananas. I really hope you've enjoyed this tutorial. If you have, please let me know in the comments, and I'll see you again for another tutorial soon. Bye!